thank you for your generosity, having already raised $300,000 for this event tonight, but also for filling out your cards. We're going to shift gears now. It's the end of the shameless fundraising portion of the program. Now let's turn our attention to the Citation Award, the reason that we're here tonight. Our citation honoree, Dennis Quaintance, has been working for many years to make the Piedmont Triad a better place in which to live. And certainly many of us who know Dennis, either personally or through his community contributions, know of his history. But an awful lot of what Dennis does goes on behind the scenes. And I think you will be amazed to hear about some of his efforts. So I'm pleased to introduce the NCCJ board member, Ivan Canada, to tell us more about our honoree. Ivan?
It is my honor and privilege tonight to introduce to you our 2011 Brotherhood Sisterhood Citation Award recipient, my friend and my mentor, Dennis Quaintance. While Dennis is best known as the CEO of Quaintance Weaver Restaurants, Hotels, and for his sustainability practices at the Proximity Hotel, he is known to the Piedmont Triad's marginalized communities as an employer who gives everyone an equal opportunity, whether they're members of the communities of color, members of the gay and lesbian community, or people with different physical abilities. In fact, he proactively recruits employees, the Quaintance Weaver, who often don't get a fair shot, such as when he recruited people with hearing impairments to work in the laundry of the Proximity Hotel. You see, Dennis has made social justice a mission-level commitment at his company. More than 18 years ago, before it was commonplace, he added a zero-tolerance policy for bigotry. And Quaintance Weaver was one of the first companies in the Triad to offer domestic partner benefits to its LGBT employees. As one of the most prominent businessmen in town, Dennis doesn't have to make a practice of being inclusive and responsive. He simply chooses to live his life with a superior standard for empathy and human relations. Dennis's commitment to equality began as a child when he noticed that his own mother wasn't always being treated fairly because she was a woman. It made him angry and it planted the seed for his fierce advocacy that he has today. As an employee at Quaintance Weaver, I saw on a regular basis just how he turned that passion, that dream of a fair and just world, into a reality. I went to work for Dennis because of the commitment to diversity that trickles down from him and permeates every aspect of the company. I wanted to work in a place that valued and respected me as an individual and let me bring my full and complete self to work every day. A place where my talents and my skills were what defined me, not my skin color nor my sexual orientation. My dreams of a fully inclusive workplace were realized there, as they are every day, for the 600 other employees. Not only was I working in a fully inclusive workplace, but I was in a role that allowed me to be an ambassador, a face of the company, representing Quaintance Weaver in both business and community circles. Again, being able to be myself. As I would walk through the O. Henry or Proximity hotels with guests, I had a sense of pride, knowing not only would they see many smiling faces, but many faces of different shades, as well as hearing different accents. Dennis, thank you for giving me the opportunity to learn a lesson I will always carry with me. Be proud of who you are and what makes you different, and do the same for others so that they can reach their full potential. The opportunity to be treated fairly and equitably extends to guests as well. Today, people from diverse backgrounds are not always greeted warmly at hotels and restaurants. But thanks to Dennis's commitment to diversity, his establishments have built a reputation as a friendly and comfortable place where people of every background feel welcomed and respected, and they are helping make a name for the Piedmont as a triad, a diverse, inclusive region. But Dennis's impact goes beyond his own business. Because of his position at the top of his industry, he is able to shine a light on Guilford County through his interactions with business leaders across the state and the nation. They look to him as a thought leader. He, in turn, shows by example how the triad is leading the way in issues regarding social and physical sustainability and diversity and inclusion. As a board member and executive committee member for the Janetta B. Cole Diversity and Inclusion Institute, Dennis led a committee to work on a national benchmark standard for quantifying diversity and inclusion programs in the workplace. And again, he lifted the Piedmont Triad onto a national platform by helping host the chief executives and diversity officers from Fortune 500 companies for an annual forum about diversity and inclusion challenges. Dennis's other community involvements span the arts, higher education, economic development, and more. I got to know him through his work with the Guilford Green Foundation, which he and Nancy have supported many years as straight allies and corporate sponsors. While there are plenty of people who say they are advocates of diversity and inclusion, those who truly embrace and stand up for all forms of diversity are true champions and worthy of an honor such as the Citation Award. Now let's pause to hear Dennis talk about himself in his own words.
I somehow felt sort of cosmically welcome. People made me feel like I wasn't just a sort of a hotelier, restaurateur mercenary, that I was welcome in the community. The nuclear reactor didn't start with me. It started with the way I was treated and the way I continue to be treated. I think fundamentally people want to be understood and appreciated, and I felt more understood and appreciated in Greensboro than anywhere I've lived. Is Mr. Ortiz here today? I always felt like people should be treated fairly, but I didn't connect much of my own behavior to it. And I don't know that I've ever mentioned this to anyone before. One day I was having lunch with Mike. We were my good friend and partner and mentor. And we both said something like, lunch was good, it tasted good, or whatever. And he said, I'm a little surprised there's not more people of color working here. And I found myself wanting to say, well, not very many apply or being defensive, but he wasn't saying it that way. He was saying it sort of like it's warm today, So, and I noticed my own defensive reaction, and I thought, why am I being defensive? There's something to that. And I realized that I wasn't being very proactive. So I went to the African American staff members that we had and said, we would like to have more African American staff members. Could you help us recruit some? So it was a little comment, sort of like these French fries are too salty for me. It's almost like that there was a light bulb that existed, and then he fed a little electricity to it, just with a little comment. And then I went seeking electricity for it, and it became more and more illuminated, and that gave us more and more opportunities. And then we realized how easy it is to be proactive in this way. I wish that I walked 2 moons in my sister's moccasins more often. I wish that I treated others the way I'd like to be treated if my roles were reversed, more often. And I wish that everyone else wished that too. Would we have any wars on the planet right now if we didn't raise people to be biased? I argue we wouldn't. There would be one of these wars going on if every child was raised to say, hey, treat people fairly based on how they behave, not based on their religion, their skin color, their sexual orientation, their gender. None of that stuff matters. I think we're here to be loving, compassionate, and of service to each other. If we have those two things running, if every family on the planet for one generation, we're done. We're done. Because they will raise their children the same way. And that's not going to happen. So we need to do it with a progressive thing through each generation. So, and the best way to do that is not by telling someone that you know how you ought to behave. You ought to behave in a way where you're loving, compassionate, and of service. But the way it gets done is by endeavoring to connect our own behavior each day with the grounding point of love, compassion, and service. Then I think we're doing our generation's work. Here's what I believe is that as a twig is bent, so the tree shall grow. So bend the twigs in a way that's supportive of us inhabiting this orb harmoniously. I really think that there are two huge issues that future generations will look back on us and say, gosh, they could have done a lot better with these. And one is our use of natural resources, and two is our hypocrisy to a certain level around fairness. I know that I'm sincere and our company's sincere about treating people fairly. It ain't what you say, it's what you do. I believe in eternal vigilance. You know, I just think you always keep working on it.
In recognition of his commitment to fighting bias, bigotry, and racism every day, for striving to improve the quality of life and the state of human relations for everyone in our community, and for caring deeply about the people and working to transform the Piedmont Triad into a better place for all of us, not just some of us. I am honored to present the 2011 Brotherhood Sisterhood Citation Award to my friend and my brother, Dennis Quaintance.
Well, I've never seen that video. Was it good? You know, as I look at all these familiar faces, I'm filled with emotion. I'm thinking, our restaurants must be empty tonight. I feel like a turtle that woke up on the top of a fence post. I don't know how I got here, but I know I didn't do it myself. I humbly accept this recognition, but it needs to just quickly glance off of me and land on the team that I'm honored to serve. It is the QW team that put this turtle on this fence post. Thank you, Tammy. More emotional than I imagined. Our company is deeply honored by this award. My family is honored, and I am honored beyond expression. Community and justice, diversity and inclusion, the basic ideas of fairness, we embrace all of them. We strive to make them a part of each day, but strive is the operative word. We can always do more. There are a number of reasons for this focus. One is early in my life, my mother taught me a lot of lessons about character and values. I'm sorry, I'm inspired each day by the goodness and social consciousness of my bride, Nancy, and our 13-year-old twins. My bride and my soulmate. And our 13-year-old twins, Kathleen and Dennis, believe in treating people fairly and with dignity is real important, so that also motivates me. I'm also convinced that embracing these values is just plain good business. I know that if we dropped our focus on diversity and inclusion and these other priorities, our businesses wouldn't be as successful. We find that the highest performing staff members want to work with outfits that have effective and progressive diversity programs. And I could give at least 10 other business advantages for focusing on this sort of thing. Diversity and inclusion have long been important to my partners, Mike Weaver and Will Stevens. Mike voluntarily integrated his company's apartments way before it was a focus of policymakers. Will Stevens' mother and father were arrested on February 14, 1960 in Winston-Salem at the Woolworth sit-in there. And Bill Stevens is here tonight. That's amazing. When I consider these issues from the perspective of future generations, they become even more important to me. I'd bet dollars to donuts that if we could transport people to this gathering from, say, 5 generations from now, they would thank us for being proactive, and they'd wish we had done more. I don't think they would buy our excuses of why we hadn't made more progress. Yet, I think they would say, man, you've got the right person leading NCCJ in Greensboro and the Triad in Susan Pike. This dinner has a theme, from dreams to reality. We honor the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King with this theme. We might want to give him a progress report on what's happened since he so eloquently shared his dream. I'll tell him this. We've made some steps, not all of them forward. We've much to do. Of a huge to-do list, let me just mention one. Given the recent events in our state, it seems appropriate to be extra supportive of our gay and lesbian brothers and sisters. Should have brought Phoenix up here. I suggest that we all dream of ways to adjust our behavioral norms, our own behavioral norms, and the behavioral norms of our society in a way that the likely result is more peace and more harmony. To me, dreaming is essential. I notice that we seldom accomplish what we don't first imagine. So here's something I choose to imagine, something I choose to dream. What if we all decided to make love, compassion, and service our primary purposes in our life? By the way, when I say that, I'm not saying we'd sit around playing patty cake baker's band. We would be just as ambitious. What I do mean is we would endeavor to gain higher levels of self-knowledge so that we would be likely to be able to connect to our sincere intention rather than to our egos and the noise of the modern world. My bet is that most religious leaders would support this notion. Just imagine if they did. Seems consistent with the teachings of the religions I study. What if we really did this? What would happen? Or more to the point, what wouldn't happen? How much closer might we get to the dreams that we cherish? Bias, bigotry, and racism stand in the way of our progress. Countermeasures might be as simple as a broadly distributed grounding on love, compassion, and service. What if we became the change we wanted to see? And what if we all wanted to see the same things? Let's not be so naive as to think that we cannot make a difference. Peace, love,